Welcome to Great Talk and Entertainment. I'm your host, KJ, and this is the YouTube channel where I review movies and TV shows from all your favorite superheroes, including Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and much more. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talk and Entertainment official channel. Now let's go, baby. Welcome back to the YouTube channel, everyone. My name is KJ. And as I continue on my spoiler review for the new Disney Plus series by Marvel Television Studio, this is IronHeart Episode 5 spoiler review. If you have not seen this show, please pause this. But before you go, could you hit the thumbs up button? That would help my YouTube channel out so much. It'll help it grow, and I would appreciate that. Come back and let me know what you think about this episode and Season 1 of IronHeart in the comments below. So again, this is a spoiler review. Now, y'all been warned. Now, let's get into it. This episode starts off with AI Natalie watching old videos of the real Natalie and Riri, of old videos of just having their childhood. And she's an AI that's legit sad and feels a certain way. And I feel like Marvel's trying to present the idea that the more in AI Natalie learns about the actual Natalie through videos or text messages or whatever fond memory that Riri has of her, that she actually becomes Natalie in a way. And in this episode, we see AI Natalie get kidnapped. Really, the suit got kidnapped. And Slug doesn't realize that Riri's not in there, right? Or maybe they do. Who knows? But she's not in that suit because, again, Riri had a panic attack, and it was just very emotional, right, to get through this. And Natalie's upset that Riri even thought to consider actually deleting her from files. Like, that's crazy, but that's where they're at. So it's kind of like, when do they kiss and make up in a way, right? And become best friends again. Even though she's just the AI version of Natalie. And then we get, do feel like, too, with this kidnap, that we're going to get a fight scene. Like maybe an Iron Suit versus Iron Suit. Or maybe, maybe they have a different way of they're going to present Ezekiel with a suit. I know that he's mentioned that he's been a fan of the bionics thing, so maybe he turns his actual body into more robotic-like, which that can make sense too. So it's one of those things. And then we see that Zelma and Riri are having a conversation about magic, and more particularly about this dark magic. He even brings up Calisius and Mabu, which we know that something happened in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness as well. Zelma brings up the facts about Dormammu and the parents, how their parents feel about it, and basically just trying to convince somebody who's more onto science and who's not on magic side. And, for example, like, this is just another thing, like, they're trying to say, like, multiverse, magic, science, they're all the exact same thing, just different pathways to get to the same thing, or trying to do the exact same thing. And so, like, maybe it's just the idea of, like, you can combine the two together, right? But how do you do it? But there's ways that Iron Man would have done it. There's ways that Doctor Strange would have done it, that they've shown throughout this MCU. And now it's really more about, how does these characters do it? How does Riri Williams do it, right? How does she handle it? How does she come up with something? How does she meet people? How does she create a partnership, a bond, friendship, and do a team up, a venture like team up, right? That's really the point of this show really too is just that type of basic facts of like Riri is somebody who wants to create and invent things to help improve something or make something better or to achieve things that's never been achieved before. She's very motivated. She's very driven. So it's things like that that what probably most stresses her out and makes her go crazy because she's trying to figure something out. It's like a puzzle piece. But we see that, right? But then things get real. As Hood's crew shows up and they're ready to eliminate Riri as Parker has put a hit on Riri. And so they're out there and she barely survives this battle. And it reminds me like the first Avengers movie where it's like Tony Stark can only fight with his suit on. If you take the suit, he's not that strong. Like he can't really knock out Steve Rogers, who was Captain America at the time. But that's not like the important thing. But it's just this fight scene resembles it because she couldn't fight the siblings. You know, she punched one of them and it didn't faze them. But she got creative, made something real quick, and then when Clown showed up, she's put some logic like, hey, ask about Stewart, you know, ask why is he gone, you know, things like that. And because Clown was soaking like grenades or something, but Riri took some kitchen material stuff and made some type of blaster with like a fire extinguisher or something and got a Clown out. But then she had to fight Ezekiel, and that was tough. But before even that, she had to fight Slug. But luckily, the Natalie AI broke out of that truck and flipped it. And I like the middle finger thing. That was pretty cool. So, but then we got that battle between Ezekiel and Riri. And Ezekiel was kind of winning, and he could have destroyed her. But he let her go because he still has feelings for Riri. And that's the most important thing is this is what's crazy. Ezekiel is having the Anakin Skywalker type villain origin story. Right? Obviously, even that his dad's not around, he's still trying to prove to his dad that he's worthy enough to be his son, Ezekiel. And then he's also trying to prove to Riri, like, if we work together, nobody else matters. If we're together, nobody else can stop us. But if you're not with me and you're against me, this is it. He told her, go leave Chicago because the next time is not going to be, I'm not going to be forgiving. And now, what's interesting, Clown witnessed this, and she didn't snitch. She kept the lie up to keep Hood, Parker, out of sense. But I think Parker knows they're both lying. And because killing Riri shouldn't be that easy anyway, and he knows that because he's the villain. And Ezekiel's not really of a good liar, but Clown helped to make it like a solid story because I think she's curious on the death of Stewart, as Clown asks Slug to hack in some files, and later Hood's crew confronts him about it and he fires them all. And you know what's interesting is Hood, Parker, showed mercy. Like, he's not a cold-hearted person, right? Like, in Star Wars terms, he'd be like Kylo Ren. He's trying really hard to be evil. He's trying really hard to be bad. He's trying really hard to be that monster that he believes he is when he puts on this cloak of a hood, right? And that's an important thing. So, but now we're seeing him kind of crumble because I think in his mind, everything that he has planned out was supposed to go the way he had everything, and it's just not working. right? Like, I don't think John supposed to be killed off was not part of his plan. The crew turning on him and questioning his ways, his decision, was not ideal in his mind. Which, again, maybe in Mephisto is influencing him to think that and be that way. As now he's alone, and all he has is himself and this thing that he's trying to achieve. And what is that thing? You know, he's trying to fill a void in his heart. And that's which is crazy because we don't know what it is yet. But we only got this episode and one more episode. But we don't know what he wants. We don't know what he's trying to prove, who he's trying to prove to, and why is he trying to be. What's his big plan? And now he's all alone. And it's like you said, I think it seems like Mephisto's pulling these strings. We see Riri and her mom and friends, family help upgrade the suit. And again, they had a moment where it was like a thing where it's like she needed to have I don't know what we call those things, an inner convention, you know, and they all want to help her. They all want to help her. That's why they're helping her upgrade her suit. That's how they want to help. Like, it's showing us, like, who's your real friends, who's the real people you should trust. You know, and it's like a Fast and Furious thing. Family, right? Like, that's the idea of what Riri's life is about. It's not about being the Avengers' friends. It's not about being it's about protecting what she has. You know, that's all she wants. Because I think it really, again, the thing that she's been through as a child has really took a toll on her emotionally with that. But we see everybody just caring, just want to see her get better. And in this suit, she'll be using like dark magic from like a Mabu or something. And then later in this episode, we see Hood reveals that he can control Ezekiel as they break into a mansion, and it's revealed that's his dad's place. And most of the companies that his dad signs, the companies that Parker has taken over are part of the umbrella of his dad's. And so now here it is. Riri has lost her stepdad, George. Then we have Parker's father, who is cold-hearted, kicked him out when he was 12 years old. And we see this thing where Parker becomes that little boy again. He's not a man. But his dad's very coward-like. Because there's a firearm to his head, right? Like when you put a weapon to somebody like that, you know, not everybody's strong. And I think his dad wants to live, but he was very cowardly like, and that upsets him. I think Parker was more upset that his dad signed the contract where Parker owns everything and the mansion and told him to get out. And it's still not satisfying. Right? And it's like, why is he not satisfied with that? But I notice in this scene that when his dad signed it, it really upset him. That his dad cowardly just signed this away. I think he believed in his mind that his dad was going to put up a good fight and that Parker was going to lose. You know, son versus father, father versus son. And his father did not give him that. And I think that's really pissed him off the most, Parker the most, about that. Because I think, you know, again, he controls Ezekiel and stuff. And he has like everything he can have to get the thing he wanted, which he did. And again, this is about him trying to prove that he's a man of being manly, right? And that's the thing. And then after that, the next scene reveals Riri and her family built an upgraded suit that mostly came from her stepdad's classic vehicle of a muscle car, and they turned it into it and made the nice suit. And they put the magic in it, but it started glitching, and we lost AI Natalie, and it disappears. She's gone, like she's not there, and she's freaking out, and that's how that episode ends. So for me, I like this episode too a lot, for the fact of, for me, the one highlight of all this, the main, all the stories in this episode was the father and son. I think that one really was the most important scene in this episode. Obviously, one of them. I'll say one of them. Also, the main important one was to watch Riri realize, like, this whole time she had all the help and resources right there in her home, in her old neighborhood in Chicago, right? It was her mom. It was her childhood best friends. It was Landon. Like, you know, it was Zelma who made a new friend. Like, there's so much, right? And but then when she loses AI Natalie, knowing that she reveals, like, how much she cares for Natalie, right? And you know, it was such a sad scene. It was a tearjerker scene to see that, right? It was a tearjerker scene when you seen that. Like, it was such an amazing thing, right? But back to the Parker and his dad, I think that was important because I think this shows, like, this whole time, again, and this is the key point, is that he was trying to prove his father wrong, right? And he was trying to also earn his father's approval. And even then, think about it. He's listening to Mephisto. He puts on this cloak. He does all these successful heists, and it's still not good enough. And then when his dad finally signs that contract, it really upsets him because his dad did not give him the satisfaction or the approval of what he was hoping. And it's still not good enough, right? But he let his dad go. But it's still the idea of that he has failed. Now, does this mean, like, he's heartbroken? Yes, definitely heartbroken. And so this tells me that this character is doing all this not on logic, not on having material, but he's done all this for his father's approval. And that's the most important thing. Same as Riri. As the AI Natalie shows, like, a whole scene. And remember in the Iron Man maybe 2? Or no. Like Captain America Civil War, where they had a demonstration. Or even in Age of Ultron, where Tony Stark uses the AI effect to show a younger version of himself and his parents, and showed it in a presentation. And to see that show where Riri relives with her mom, that you see George, the stepdad, and Natalie, and you see the mother, the father and daughter dance that they did, and they grieve over it, and it helped her find peace and somewhat close that chapter, because that's what was holding her back in so much, right? And it was such an emotional thing, but we needed that. It just shows like as Parker was just trying to get his father's approval, all she wants is literally her dad back. She wants her best friend back. She just feels guilty of not being able to protect them. So she's already, again, she's a lost hero without a cause. And a hero always wants to protect the little people, and that's what she wants to do. So this shows this heroic side. To be a hero, you have to have that type of sadness and guilt. She beats herself up about this stuff. And that's the beauty of what they showed. So now, when they do this magic, add that dark magic, right? And they lose AI Natalie, she's freaking out. Like, where does she go? Because she just wants to protect people and the ones that she cares about, obviously. So that's what I like about these two important things that they brought up in this show was these two moments. One's kind of going down the dark path, but one's trying to redeem themselves and become a hero, but it's still struggling into what that looks like because she is a hero without a cause. And in a way, she's becoming like Parker in a way, but in her own terms, obviously. But that's what I like about this. Was such a uplifting, but it was a real cool moment to see these characters get to where they needed to be going within this storyline. And I thought it was told so well. And again, there's a lot of, Doctor Strange reference in this one, and Iron Man, of course. But it makes sense that they're using this episode to MCU it more and tie in some other stories and reference to everything. I could think this could lead up to the Avengers Doomsday movie as well. I think some of what they were teasing in this episode, like I can see Riri Williams in Avengers Doomsday film, and I can also see like Zelma in there and Doctor Strange. I think that's where they're kind of leading up to, but I think it'd be interesting what's going to happen. But this also could lead to Secret Wars because some way, somehow, it's going to end up being a part of a multiverse story of the saga of it. But this one would make sense, and I'm fine with Riri being that because this is a character that could do it, that could do science and tech, or magic, I should say, science and magic. And I think it'd be a great way and refreshing way because you can do this with this character because it's not Tony Stark. This is Riri Williams, and she is her own person. And so this is how you do stories that you probably couldn't do with Tony Stark in the MCU. That's what I get out of this too. But if I had to give this a 1 out of 10, I'm definitely going to give this an 8. Really great episode. I love that this really brings tears to my eyes throughout this, and I just love like the growth, and I love to see the path that these characters takes to become the hero and the villain. And we haven't seen this type of minute for a long time in the MCU since, Avengers Endgame. But this show, Deadpool, Wolverine, Captain America, Brave New World, and the Thunderbolts, aka the New Avengers, it's like a refreshing, and they kind of go back to basics to what makes sense in the beginning and what made the MCU so popular and much love. And they really brought this to this episode, so I truly enjoying this. And I like that what they're doing is Ezekiel as well. Like he's a guy. I think he's gonna be such a big threat, and we just don't realize it yet. And I like where they're going with this AI with it. I think it's gonna work, and I feel like that this will lead up to more towards Ant-Man in the quantum realm. I feel like they're gonna rehash that story. And I think this AI Natalie is just a perfect example to talk about the quantum realms. But that's my review, y'all. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talk and Entertainment official channel. Subscribe, hit that notification button so you can always be updated with all my latest content. Thank you guys, and peace out.